Hello, everyone. Let me get to my PowerPoint. All right. Let me move this somewhere we can all see. All right. So for today's flipped lesson, we are going to be learning about the Speedminton overhead clear. What we're going to learn today is correct form of an overhead clear, the offensive strategies or offensive advantages of using an overhead clear, and the strategic purpose of using an overhead clear in a game. All right, so let me move this down here. Okay. So, when it comes to correct form, there are three important cues that we need to remember that'll help us keep track of a correct form for the overhead clear. So those three cues in order are turn to target, high contact, and follow through. So for the first cue, it's important to turn our bodies toward the target. And by doing this, it'll help give us better power and direction with our shot. Number two, the second cue is high contact. So hitting the speeder at a high contact point will help us increase our momentum and help us with our aim. And number three, right over here, the third cue for this overhead clear shot is follow through. This is a big one. Following through to the end of our swing helps us maximize our power and our direction. Okay, so here we are going to introduce the overhead clear and what it looks like by watching this quick video. All right, so that is introducing the overhead clear. And as you'll notice, they touched on all three of the cues that we just learned on the last slide. So turning your body to target, having high contact with the speeder and your racket, and then making sure to follow through to the end of your swing. Those are all going to give you the best shot at an overhead clear. Okay, now let's talk about the strategic purpose in a game. So, it's not only important to understand how to correctly perform an overhead clear, but also why to use it and when. So, in a game, you want to use this shot to hit deep into the open areas of the court. So this isn't going to be a shallow shot to the front of the court. This shot is used specifically to go high and deep to the back areas of your opponent's side of the court. And the opponent's response should be to push the opponents out of position and back on their heels, which will make it harder for them to gain momentum for their return shot. So if they are pushed all the way back to the backcourt, they're going to have to need a lot of power in order to get that speeder back to your side, which is going to be harder if you push them to where their momentum is going backwards. If they're going backwards on their feet, it's going to be hard for them to get that shot. And so the strategic purpose of this shot is to make it more difficult for your opponents to return a shot back to you. So just like we just talked about, their momentum will be going backwards, so it'll be more difficult for them. But another aspect of this is if they're all the way on the very back line of their court, they're going to also have to stop and determine whether the shot is inbounds or out of bounds and whether or not they want to hit that shot at all. All right, so covering the offensive advantages, here's a little demonstration of what this will look like. So as we reviewed in previous lessons, this is a Speedminton court. So if we have our team on this side, our goal is to be using an overhead clear shot to go high and deep all the way, even deeper than this arrow, all the way to the X's in the back side of the court. So we don't want to be pushing the overhead clear shot to get in the front of the court. We want to push our opponents all the way backwards to the back side of the court. And then as a last little recap, this is going to be your recap assignment. So we have 4 questions here. These questions are, number 1, what 3 cues are important for remembering correct overhead clear form? We talked about that on slide 2. Number 2, why were the cues important? Also talked about on slide 2. Number 3, how does an overhead clear shot force opponents to respond? And number 4, why is an overhead clear shot an advantageous offensive strategy? So these are all important review questions that I would like you to look back at the slides that we just went through, find the answers that we talked about, and then write them on a piece of paper and bring them back to class with you tomorrow. And I would like you to also be prepared to talk to a classmate about your answers and how you found them. All right, so that is our flipped lesson of a Speedminton clear, and I hope everyone is ready to put it to use tomorrow.